Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm now in the woods. I was unable to. Ooh, there's a big old spider just hanging out there. Um, I was unable to get a location for. Wait, am I even recording? Yeah, I am. I really don't want to be filming in the woods all the time because I've got such a lovely countryside to show you all. But I just want to talk about while I'm in the shade, hiding from the heat because it's better than that in house. I want to talk about English heat and climate change. Now, if you live abroad, you probably mock the English. Like anywhere is probably hotter than the UK, but in summer, something happens. The UK is unbearable in the summer. Now, I know that Americans and Spanish people and people in Africa probably have to deal with way hotter temperatures than I ever would, especially if you live on the equator. But there's something to English heat that makes it uniquely challenging, and I think it has to come down to European governments so unwilling to implement or let people have air conditioning ever. um, and also because of it being cold and rainy most of the time. A lot of the walls are thick. It's made of brick and concrete, and also that the windows are double or even triple glazed at any given time. So, yeah, that's what we have to deal with. And also, no AC, maybe a standing fan, and no ceiling fans. Probably the greatest invention ever made, to be honest. Yeah, I want to talk about. Well, now that I've talked about English summers, usually they kind of come in waves. Right now, we're in the middle of a heat wave. It's 30, 31 right now, and it's going to stay that way for the next few days. But luckily, it's going to drop down to the mid to low teens during the night, which gives us some much needed respite. So, I mean, everyone's talking about how the UK is experiencing record-breaking summers and stuff like that. But the thing is that this trend has been continuing for a long time. People who argue that climate change doesn't exist usually point to well, it was kind of cold the other day. And Antarctica, do you know that place? Well, let me tell you, Antarctica is mainly ice. So if the Earth is getting hotter, then why is it ice? Idiots. Just because the extremes or generally it's locally cold, that doesn't mean the average temperature isn't climbing everywhere else. But I digress. Um, there's something about air conditioning that really makes European governments, especially ones who know that climate change is real, just so hesitant to actually implement it. I think it has to do with the energy consumption. But the thing is that European governments are infected with the NIMBY virus. They're so unwilling to actually build more energy infrastructure, particularly because their hands are tied by big energy. Big energy doesn't want government solutions competing with them for energy because obviously then they'll have to lower their prices, and they don't want to do that. But also, it's just because European governments are so like, it's fine as it is. Just sweat it out or die, I guess. I think that's the approach to a lot of things. The heat is a big killer. The heat is not good for small children, it's not good for animals, and it's not good for elderly people. But the thing is, if we had more energy infrastructure, I really think this whole panic about using standing fans or anything of the sort, like air conditioning, will just be not a problem. So yeah, that's why I advocate for. I advocate for nuclear energy. I advocate for keep pursuing fusion like the dog. Like I don't care if fusion isn't economically viable yet. Make it so. Keep investing in fusion. I hear projections that it's, I don't know, $10 to $20 billion gamble. Well, I mean, we have individuals on this earth who could solve all of homelessness in the United States of America with just their yearly income. So I don't think fusion being a $20 billion gamble is so much of an ask to just ask some billionaires, hey, listen to me. If you pitch in a few billion each, like you get, I don't know, you get a handful of billionaires and you say, listen, the population isn't very happy with you right now and they're going to revolt and they're going to stop your way of life. So if you invest into billion if you invest into fusion energy, maybe we can't guarantee you tax breaks because we need you to keep paying your tax, but maybe you'll be able to repair your public image by doing something charitable for once in your life. A lot of progress, I think, is really held back by the whims of the rich. When we have scientific advancements in the private sector, I think it's just because a billionaire got bored and is just playing God mode. Another thing that pisses me off to no degree, no end, is that governments, celebrities, the recycling industry keep telling us that it's on us to solve climate change. It's on us to go green. It's on us to use all these green technologies, which I and limit your consumption, limit your impact, which I generally advocate for. I generally advocate for a less consumerist way of life, a more independent, more, I guess dare say, more eco-friendly, lower impact, higher efficiency living, and maybe not having all the conveniences all at once. Maybe having the essentials like running water, temperature and climate control, like electricity, internet, blah blah blah. But also not having every single appliance that was ever made ever. Um, because obviously a lot of suffering went into that, and I feel really guilty when I spend money on something that I could really just engineer from home in a cave. Like, I don't really need a vegetable steamer. I don't need a dedicated appliance to steam my vegetables. All I need to do is get a pot of water boiling and then, put a sieve over it and then steam my vegetables that way. However, the billionaire class, the business class, and also celebrities like Taylor Swift and all these other celebrities that use and abuse their private jets emit so much more carbon than a single household could ever do in a long time. It would take a single household, like, I don't know, multiple years to even squash out the amount of uses, like to compare to Taylor Swift's private jet. I'm sure you've seen this video make the rounds. It's like a short of Taylor Swift bouncing around the world. Yeah, sometimes she doesn't even take a few days before she goes on a new trip, and then like somehow this other plane is being taxied around somehow. It's like she's not only using one plane religiously, she somehow has two, which I don't understand why she even really needs. They have the balls to tell us that we are the ones destroying the planet. We are the ones that are filling the atmosphere with toxic chemicals, and I understand, like, we don't necessarily need to have all the appliances that we have. We don't also need to have a billion children each, but also the celebrities and people who attend these G Summit events also could just take economic. I understand that, they can't mingle with the public, otherwise they'll be, at risk of being assaulted or asked for a photograph. But why do they need to get in the most environmentally unfriendly devices that we have around? Seriously, like, also, why are celebrities going to, like, environmental economic forms? It's so goddamn unfair. The amount of energy and stuff I consume is probably a lot. I feel real guilty about it. I really don't like my level of consumption or my feeling to consume. I think it has to do with our genes. I think it's our ability in this highly permanent living environment that's not like central. It's spread out. But these people, they don't even live anywhere. They live in multiple places at once. Their homes take up enormous amount of land. Their diets are incredibly specialized and need all this technology that we can't keep up with. Maybe like hydroponics and more eco-friendly methods of getting meat might be available, like lab grown, but that's a video for another time. The point is that their level of consumption isn't just like, oh, they're, more important than us. They just consume more because they want to show it off. There's a word for it, but it's like they display how wasteful they are. It's the modern day equivalent of aristocrats having enormous front lawns because they can show off how much land that they can have that doesn't, need to be a farm or a pasture. I hear things walking around in this wooded area. Anyway, so my point is that don't feel guilty about the resources that you're taking out. Just be sure to minimize what you do currently do. You don't need to be chasing the newest car. You don't need to be chasing the newest thing because that thing is made with unethical practices and just this level of greed and consumerism we have in this society. It's sickening to me. It makes me want to throw up everything that I've ever eaten in my entire life and then consume it again and then throw up some more. What can we do about this? Well, not really much, but what we can do is we can make life hard for the elites. And I know it's a dangerous venture, but like standing in front of traffic where ordinary working people are trying to make their day is not going to help win the war, especially on the public opinion front. But what is going to win the war is severe boycotts of enormous polluting brands, and also pressure the government into changing big business and adding more environmental regulations, especially towards these transnational trillionaire corporations that can afford to clean things up and also produce the most waste. And also, I just want to say, America, stop blaming India or China for their levels of CO2 emission. While they may emit more CO2 than you guys, per capita, you guys emit way more. The whole American identity is based on who has the biggest truck, or who has the biggest house, or who eats the most steak in their $55,000 barbecue that you own. Like seriously, like why is buying things a tradition for you guys? So yeah, that's my part and thought is that I don't necessarily think that we're doomed for, climate change. I just think that we're allowing ourselves to be led into it by people who have just the sin of greed infect every single atom of their beings. Um I do have a video about how we can achieve this, and it's a way more scripted, way more focused video about like the science, researching new technologies that are already in the works, and like stats and science. It's more scripted than this. This is just a ramble about this summer being hot and why I think it's getting hotter. I think there'll come a point where, to be honest, if we ever reach the point of no return, I just hope that the billionaires realize that they were the ones did it, and if they somehow managed to escape, well, it was all for naught. But as long as they're the ones who may perish in a tidal wave caused by a tsunami or a typhoon or a hurricane or forest fire and their big palatial mansions burned down. I just hope that they feel what we feel, just in the slightest. Sure, their money and government connections will make sure that they never have to face any accountability whatsoever, but at least they feel temporary embarrassment. Stay hydrated, stay cool. See if you can get a ceiling fan. If you have a ceiling fan, you're practically an aristocrat anyway. So, happy summer, everybody. I'll see you soon with something that I am genuinely excited to make. Not just a ramble, but something actually like artistically minded. Alright, bye.